Oh, remember Bob Ross, the soft-spoken guy with the afro? Was on PBS and he did these paintings. Well, this after watching his program for a number of years, I decided, hey, that doesn't seem very hard. So this is my first attempt at Bob Ross technique of painting. Well, I just put bonsai trees instead of happy little trees, but basically it's the same technique. So what I was doing was I was painting on different things, and these flat slate made ideal surface. It kind of gave you a little bit of depth. So I did a number of them, and that's kind of my tendency. When I try a new idea, I make a bunch of them. And it's been sitting around in my storage for 20 some odd years. Well, I thought what I'd do is to go ahead and see if I could incorporate it with my Ishizukuri. So, see, and then, well, I used to have these on one of those stands, but then I thought, well, if I could make a stand and, well, take the weather, this acrylic that I'm using will take the weather. So this could be displayed with your bonsai or out in the elements. So anyway, that's what we have. Well, you know, I did this painting and then we went to Yellowstone and there was one tree that looked identical to this tree. Of course, there was no waterfall. The waterfall was bigger and it was off to a different area. But I was amazed at the similarity between what I saw in Yellowstone with a high-powered zoom, because it was on the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. But anyway, I had that, so it's been sitting around, and I added these rocks, trying to make it into a new form. Well, you know, right now I'm working on the series Ishizukuri with lanterns, right? So I was debating, should I add the lantern like this or not? So anyway, I'll show you what it looks like with the lantern and without. I'm kind of leaning towards without, but I have these handy so I could always add it. But once I motor it in place, it's really hard to take apart. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now. But you know, those are the things that I have been considering. Well, can you imagine this being a backdrop for a nice bonsai display at a show? I think that will get a lot of attention. So before I get to the next one, I'll show you again with the lantern in place. I kind of like that too, but it's always a difficult call to make. Well, one thing for sure, this thing is getting a little bit on the heavy side, so that I'm pretty sure that it will not blow away. Okay, here's another one I did. This is a painting on a black slate. Actually, it's the backside of a blackboard that came from an old schoolhouse. But I'll go ahead and turn this so that you can see this thing rotating around. The stone that you see that's complementing the painting is stone that came from China, and it kind of fits, I thought. Well, you know, you have to put some on the back side so that this thing does not flop down. Well, you know, that's one of the first things we have to do is how are we going to secure it so that it'll stand upright, right? So, you know, some of this is kind of a engineering problem. The primary side will look like there's something in the distance. It's very similar to what we do in Japanese garden too. A lot of hint in the background. So here it comes around the front again. So it's just a slate that used to be a blackboard. I broke it up, and well, breaking up artistically is something that you have to figure out yourself too. But I thought it came together rather nicely. And this too can be used outside. Well, you know, if you have a barbecue table or something like that, you'll work there. But those of you that are into bonsai, I think these will be a nice complement for your display. Like I was saying, I did these paintings over 20 years ago, and maybe 25 years ago. That was the phase I was going through. And then when I do things, I do a large of them. And I probably got about a dozen that I did. Others, I looked at it and I'm going, wow, this is really not good quality painting. So, you know, it's really hard to critique yourself, but I've been at it long enough to know that, hey, this is not worthy. So they're not going to be put together as a Ishizukuri. Yep, here's the third one. Actually, not much to see on the back side. Everything on the forward side, but it's heavy enough that it's not going to flip and fall on the back side. Although these could be used indoors or outdoors, you could use it indoors. Let's say if you want to put it flush against a wall, that'll work too. But anyway, that's what I've been doing, taking my old drawings, pictograph that I did, and putting it together in a newer format. Okay, hopefully you're still enjoying some of these Ishizukuri chapters. This was something that I hadn't even planned on, but when I was in the warehouse looking around, I said, oh yeah, I kind of remember all these paintings that I did. So anyway, I put it together, and we're going to call this Pictograph Ishizukuri. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. See you again real soon in another chapter. Goodbye.